Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. I got almost finished with this and I got a phone call and it cut my video off. So I've got to start all over so I can get it all on one video. So let's get started. I am so excited to do this little snippet because I'm going to just probably rock your world with some stuff to think about. I'm going to go over in the Gospel of John in chapter 19, verses 17 through 22, and I'm just going to read that, and then I'm going to go back and explain some stuff that I think you'll be really excited to learn about. So here we go. And he, being Jesus, went out carrying his own cross to a place called the place of the skull, which in Hebrew is called Golgotha. There they crucified him and two others with him, one on either side and Jesus in the middle. Pilate wrote a title and put it on the cross. The writing was, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. Many of the Jews read this title, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and it was written in Hebrew, in Greek, and in Latin. The chief priest of the Jews said to Pilate, "Do not write, the King of the Jews, but rather, he said, I am King of the Jews." Now, so let me get started on this because it's packed full today. I want to talk to you about this place of the skull because this is very, very cool. And I want to just pull up the article, and I am going to post some links for you for anyone who wants to follow through on this. But in Origen, his name is Origen, Origen, and that's my southern pronunciation of his name. He lived in 185 to 253 AD. And he wrote that the place where Adam was buried and his skull had been discovered there is where Jesus was crucified. Now, I want to go to this article and just read this really close. I don't want to take a lot of time on it, but because you might want to read the article yourself. But what's very interesting here is that the Orthodox Jews have retained this information for 2,000 years. This is part of their belief systems, the ones that believe in Jesus. And for what's amazing is the first Adam, the one who brought us into sin, is buried there. And our last Adam, Jesus, who would free us all of humanity from sin, would be crucified and die at the very spot where they buried the first sinner. So it's just very interesting, and I can see God doing this because he's into intricate details. But Jesus' blood would have ran down the crack in the stone and fell upon Adam's skull, and it would be symbolic of Jesus' blood covering and redeeming the sins of the human race that originated with and through Adam. So I'm going to post that article. But the next thing I want to talk about in this snippet, now, but before I do, let me say this. One of the Gospels records that Jesus was carried to Calvary. And Calvary means, in the Greek, a place of execution. Okay, so Calvary says that this is where people were executed. Golgotha means the place of the skull. And it's not just any skull. It is the skull of Adam. Now, there's also a mount in Jerusalem outside of the city, and it's a mount, not a big mountain. It's a hill, a mount. And you can see an outline of a skull. It's two eyes and a broken nose and a mouth. I've been there, and it's pretty interesting. And it may be exactly where Jesus was crucified. But in this Orthodox Jewish writings outside of the Bible, they have maintained for 2,000 years that where Jesus died is exactly where Shem, who would have been Noah's son, they got off the boat, Shem buried Adam's skull there. Okay, and they have all of this. This is very cool. But I just like the thought that where the first man who brought us into sin is buried is where the last Adam, Jesus, would redeem all of mankind. And so let me keep going. There's one more thing I want to talk about today, and it talks in the scripture that I read to you. It says here that they put a sign over Jesus's cross, and it was in 3 different languages. I want to say again, Hebrew and Aramaic are sister languages, and actually the sign would have been written in Aramaic. But 2,000 years later, we kind of combined and we relate those 2 languages as the same. And they're actually not, but they are sister languages. But I want to talk about this titulus. It's Titulas. And basically, it would have the title of the person's, their name, Jesus of Nazareth. And people would be identified. See, we use last names now, but in that day, basically their last name, like Jesus of Nazareth, it identified the area they were from. And then underneath that, they would put what they were guilty of. So Jesus of Nazareth identified Jesus and what his crime was against the Roman Empire, which was him claiming to be a king. Now, they discovered this titulus, okay, in 328 A.D. in Jerusalem. And many people believe this is actually an authentic sign that was over the cross of Jesus. I want to give you some American, I want to translate or convert this. It's 687 grams, which would be about 1.5 pounds, and it's 25 by 14 by 2.6 centimeters thick. So what that would be in our language, in our numbers here in the U.S., is 10 inches by 5.5 inches by 1 inch thick, basically. So it's not a large sign. But what they would do is when they would carry someone out to crucify them, the person would carry the crossbar, not the whole cross, just the crossbar. And they would carry it over their shoulders. And they would go out and carry their own cross. Okay? Jesus makes some references to a man carrying his own cross, which is very interesting because Jesus knew he would be crucified on a cross and have to carry his cross to redeem mankind. But what they would do sometimes is put a sign over a man and hang it over his neck on the way to the cross, and then they would hammer it and put it on the cross so passerbys would know who they are and what their crime was. Now, at times, they would have a Roman soldier ride a horse and carry the sign, and the person would be walking behind them carrying their cross. But either way, they wanted everybody in public to know as the person went what their crime was and what was going on, and then they would post that on the cross. So, guys, I'm going to let you go today. And like I said, I'm going to post 2 more links today for any of you that want to know more about the sign over the cross about Jesus, that's identifying the one that Pilate wrote out. And I'm going to also post a link about the place of the skull, the article that I referenced today as well. So God bless you, and I love every single one of you, and thank you for sharing this and just helping me teach people about Jesus. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow right here on Facebook. Bye-bye.